Today is Tuesday, July 7, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The legal team for Karmelo Anthony has filed two motions today, including one requesting a new trial. We'll break down the filings with attorney A. Scott Bolden. Also, a new lawsuit alleges county and school officials failed to intervene in the case of a 7-year-old black girl in Long Island who suffered severe abuse and neglect. The family of Nolan Wells, who died over the July 4th weekend in Mississippi, have hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump to investigate the case and represent them. And remember, the 7 black Mississippi families were suing after their children were unlawfully strip searched? We'll talk to the attorney who is representing the families. Plus, a federal judge shoots down the Trump administration's attempt to obtain the names of all Fulton County, Georgia election workers in 2020. Speaking of Trump, they continue their attack on Black America, this time pretty much ignoring discrimination claims. We'll talk about that. In addition to that, folks, we'll hear from Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger about her first 6 months in office. Plus, in our Shop BlackStarNetwork.com marketplace segment, we'll talk to the CEO of the first black-owned golf equipment company ever to have its golf balls meet the U.S. Golf Association's standards. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Karmelo Anthony's new legal team have filed two new motions. One asked for a new trial and the other asked to recuse the judge who presided over his murder trial. Anthony's legal team wants Judge John Roach removed from all remaining post-trial proceedings. In the motion, they point to Roach's post-verdict interview with a local TV station and his written statement to Fox News in which he publicly endorsed the guilty verdict, defended his courtroom rulings, and declared that Anthony received a fair trial. Anthony's attorneys say those comments, they say, make it impossible for Roach to rule on the defense's post-trial motions fairly. This request comes as legal experts continue to point to one issue they believe gives Anthony his strongest chance on appeal. The jury that convicted him did not include a single black juror. During the June 11th interview with WFAA TV Channel 8, he acknowledged the dismissal of every potential black juror.
And you excused, you denied the defense and the dismissing of 3 jurors who at least identified as African American on their bioforms. What did you make of that moment?
Well, that's not exactly how it works. The defense didn't dismiss them.
I'm sorry, the defense raised an objection.
They raised an objection, yeah. They have raised an objection. Like I told you before, as long as I follow the law, I sleep well at night. And I'm telling you, I follow the law in that case. Did I know what the perception was going to be? Sure. I knew in the back of my mind what the perception was going to be. But I'm not here to satisfy perceptions. I'm not here to satisfy agendas. I'm not here to do any of those things. I'm here to follow the law. And I did it to a T. And I'm proud of that. Very proud of that.
Is this your last big trial?
It's my last big trial. The sad part about it is, I will tell you before I leave at the end of the year, I'll try a couple more murder cases, for example. The parking lot won't be full. The gallery won't be full of people watching the case. But we still have somebody who's died and someone accused of doing the killing. And it won't draw the attention that this case did. And their death is no less tragic than the tragic death of the young man in this case. And so, big trial, I guess, from an outsider's perspective and the social media and the media interest in the case. But crime still happens in Collin County, and every single person deserves to have as fair of a trial that Karmelo Anthony had.
What's your take on Karmelo Anthony?
I don't know. I really don't know.
You've had a lot of defendants in your courtroom.
I have had a lot of defendants in my courtroom, and I talked to Mr. Anthony a couple times because I'm legally required to go over some things with him. He seems like a nice young man who committed a crime, and he understands today, more than any day before today, the consequences of committing a crime like he did.
Folks, the other motion for a new trial claims Anthony's constitutional rights were violated, arguing courtroom access restrictions deprived him of a public trial, and prosecutors backed away from an off-the-record agreement that ultimately led Anthony not to testify in his own trial. Anthony is serving 35 years for the murder of Austin Metcalf. He maintained he stabbed Metcalf in self-defense. Attorney Scott Bolden joins us right now. Scott, your assessment of these two new motions from Anthony's new legal team.
Well, I think the motions are pretty strong. Again, I didn't sit in on any of the cases, but their motion for the judge to recuse himself, I just got done looking at the interview that Judge Roach did, and it just makes no sense. This is exactly what the judicial canons of ethics don't want a judge to do, where he is relishing in the press a big case, but the case is still pending before him. The verdict was rendered by the jury, but there are always post-verdict motions to be held on to be decided by the court. Even if you file an appeal, even while the case is pending appeal, it can go back to the trial court. So why is a sitting judge who sat through the whole trial now giving public interviews and writing letters to Fox News, relishing or wallowing, if you will, in his newfound, quote, celebrity status because he had a big case? Just not ready for prime time, but also hasn't really looked at the canons of ethics. In regard to the post-trial, asking for a new trial, those arguments are pretty strong. Doesn't mean they're going to be granted. The lack of access for his family and the public to the trial is a bit of a long shot, but I think that argument has to be made. The off-the-record agreements that were made between the lawyers, which ultimately barred the defendant from taking the stand on a self-defense case, I would never have agreed to that. I don't know how you get that off-the-record agreement, but more importantly, so many of the proceedings in Karmelo Anthony's trial were conducted in the chambers of this very judge, weren't filed with the clerk's office, if you will. And even now, the defense lawyers, as I understand it, don't have access to the full record without reviewing them in the judge's chambers, and they can't make copies or take them with them in preparation for post-trial proceedings or for the Court of Appeals. That's unheard of, if you will. So a lot of different and not so good things going on, not just for Karmelo Anthony, but the integrity of the court and the integrity of the criminal justice system, which is always at issue when you have judges as well as prosecutors acting in this manner.
Obviously, this new legal team was critically important because many felt that his previous lawyer just did an awful job during the trial. I still don't understand what the hell the attorney was thinking by, after he was convicted, only putting on one person in the sentencing phase, and that was his mother. He didn't bring in his coaches, friends, church pastor, right, nobody. And I mean, the kid gets convicted. Same day. They have a sentencing phase. The jury goes back and hits him with 35 years. That literally all happened like in a 6-hour span.
Yeah, and the defendant at one point was only given 10 minutes to figure out whether he was going to be able to testify or not. I don't know whether there was a ruling that he couldn't testify. That would certainly be reversible error, but they were moving pretty fast in this courtroom. And if you read the papers of his new counsel, which is the appellate counsel, or a combination of about 6 lawyers, including Ben Crump's firm, it sounds to me, after reading the papers, that they're setting up a argument at the appellate court for ineffective assistance of counsel, which is very viable here just based on the facts that we know publicly. But there was a lot of fast and loose things going on, not just with the interview, the post-trial interview, but also this off-the-record agreement between the parties, and then the repudiation of that agreement at the end of the prosecutor's case, but the preparation was nullified. That repudiation nullified whether you would even put on a self-defense expert or whether you would put on character testimony. Those are two defenses or two factual pieces that are fundamental to self-defense. Why would you ever agree not to do that? As they say, try the case under the tent. That is, we're going to try the case on the facts and everything that happened at the crime scene. Well, that borders on the nonsensical when this young man was sentenced to 35 years in prison and he was sentenced after a conviction. Why would you foreclose any of that? So look for an ineffective assistance of counsel being made at the appellate level for sure.
Just your thoughts on this 6-member team that was announced to take on. I mean, obviously, there was so much controversy, discussion, even on social media after the case. If folks were like, "Yo, where are our blacks, superstar legal eagles to rise to this young man's defense?" And what people have to understand, listen, he's been convicted. Texas ain't the most easiest place to overturn a conviction and get a new trial.
Yeah, well, he's got a dream team now with former federal prosecutor, state prosecutor from that county. All of them are volunteering their rights right now, or volunteering their time. Obviously, Ben Crump's firm is involved. I had a couple of attorneys reach out to me in regard to our appellate group. But those 6 that they ultimately are defending him are really good at the appellate level. Look for more, quite frankly, to support and participate. A big firm like mine or any other big firm out here will certainly support and has supported Ben in many of his other prior cases, whether it was at the appellate level or at the trial level where the cases were pending. Many of the big firms have resources. And so this young man, they're going to give him every shot at getting this reversed, given the inconsistencies and the problems with the case, just from a public perception standpoint. So look for not just the PR on this, but look for some really good lawyering at the appellate level. And hopefully the Court of Appeals or even the Supreme Court will do the right thing. Good lawyering will help this young man.
Explain why, or explain for folks who don't really understand the law, why a specific expertise when it comes to an appellate team matters.
Well, because the appeal is about putting together a strong brief, arguing what the law is, arguing what the errors that were made at the trial level, being able to present in a cogent and reasonable and forceful and faithful manner before, let's say, 3 judges or up to 8 or 9 judges at the state level, whereby you're doing an appellate argument. You're not putting on evidence. You're not putting on witnesses. You're not moving. There's no jury there. Here you have 3 appellate judges. You can go en banc, many cases, at the state level and at the federal level, but they hear your oral argument on the errors that occurred below. The prosecution will be there. They have specialized appellate lawyers who put together papers, and they will defend what the trial lawyers did. So this is part of the due process. This is part of the criminal justice system and civil justice system where you have a trial. Many of us know that. We've watched TV, but then you appeal what happened at the trial level, and hopefully if it can be de novo where they look at everything, or they can be very limited in their review. And in this case, the defense appellate counsel will be trying to get the Texas Court of Appeals to reverse and send it down for a new trial or send it back for further proceedings. So its case is far from over.
On another case, following the death of Nolan Wells, his family in Mississippi, his family has now hired Ben Crump's law firm to represent them. Of course, Nolan Wells, 18 years old, found dead Monday by a park ranger on Mississippi's Gulf Coast after he disappeared on July 4th during a trip to Horn Island with 3 of his friends. As the investigation to Nolan's disappearance and death leaves more questions and answers, Crump's legal team say they will conduct an independent review of the case in a statement on the attorney's website. The family is demanding a timely release of all the records, autopsy findings, and witness statements as investigators work to determine exactly what happened. We also have seen lots of information, but videos of other people who were actually in the waters, and some people had a video of those white teens arguing with Nolan Wells as well. Of course, the family also has created a GoFundMe financial page to pay for the independent autopsy. It's organized by Alea Dennis, and then so that's there now. And so again, they have been raising those funds, and so we're going to show you that GoFundMe page in a bit as well. Scott, and this is the thing that we discussed this beforehand, and people have to understand. Ben Crump and his team, they do not prosecute cases. They're there to represent the family. Explain why or how critical it is to have attorneys who understand media, who understand that process, that keeps the pressure on to ensure an investigation is properly done. Because we've seen examples where families are like, we can't get any answers. The attorney is not being aggressive, or they're not generating attention, because that public attention also keeps that spotlight on those investigating.
Right, and the investigators are part of the government. They may or may not have an interest outside of the vested interest in law enforcement. They may have their own personal prejudices, but somebody knows what happened to this young man in this case. And someone like Ben Crump and his team, they'll not only do an independent autopsy if they can get access to it, but they'll also do an independent review and then publicize what their findings were, take them to the government, and press the prosecutor's office, or press for an inquest, or press for a autopsy, and what the coroner is ultimately going to decide as to what the cause of death was. That's really, really important as far as a broad or rather an independent investigation. And then ultimately those findings of Ben Crump and his advocacy and the media's interest in the case certainly are pressure points, but should also not intimidate or upend the independence of the government's conclusion. But let's make sure we get that government conclusion right. It's about accountability. And so it's important that he do his job, ultimately independence, if you will. And so often these smaller communities and these cities, right? Everybody's got a political agenda, and most of the time it ain't a political agenda to help black folks or our community or to have accountability. Somebody knows what happened. Those young people need to be interviewed. If it was an accident, so be it. If it was intentional, so be it. But that family deserves answers, and the public deserves answers. And so we should get those hopefully in the next 60 to 120 days, maybe sooner.
All right, Scott Bolden, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Good seeing you, man.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, let's talk about this case that is out of Mississippi, which is actually quite strange. We had a discussion about it last night, and we talked about, of course, Well, actually, we're going to have that case in a second, the case out of Mississippi, but it's just a very, very strange story that makes no sense to me. And when you talk about how our kids are being treated, and I hope people understand when all of these cases, we talk about them, why it's important to have strong legal representation. It amazes me when I see these stories. People say, oh, I hate journalists and I hate lawyers. Well, that's until you need one. And all of a sudden, you hope those folks actually show up. And that's certainly the case in Mississippi with Nolan Wells. That's the case with Karmelo Anthony. And another example. And what we must be doing, and I was having this conversation with a civil rights attorney who said that we really have to understand the power of the law and why we must be encouraging more and more of our young people to pursue advocacy in law, to pursue being civil rights attorneys. And so these things matter. And so in the next hour, we're going to talk with the attorney for the family suing in that case in Mississippi, where those teens were searched when it came to vapes. Then there's a story that's out of New York. Again, this is important when you have strong legal representation to pursue your interests. So let's talk about that particular story. 7-year-old kid, black girl. They're suing Suffolk County and Bayport Blue Point School District, claiming officials there ignored repeated warnings before she was murdered on December 29th. Jordan Dukin's family alleges county social service officials were negligent, placing her in an abusive home and failing to intervene despite multiple warnings. 50-year-old Emily Kelly, who was the fiance of Jordan's father, who was incarcerated, gained full custody of her in April 2025. Prosecutors say Jordan endured prolonged neglect and abuse inflicted by Kelly, her 75-year-old mother, Barbara Renner, and Kelly's 24-year-old daughter, Elisa Seymour. Suffolk County Medical Examiner's Office reported Jordan died from an infection caused by her injuries and was found to have 90 wounds on her body at the time of her death. The 3 women are facing a slew of charges. Kelly is being charged with second-degree murder. Heather Palmore joins us right now. She's the attorney for the family. Heather, glad to have you here. This is beyond shocking. How in the hell does this type of abuse happen? And also, over what period of time are we talking about this abuse took place?
Well, let me say this, that as an attorney who's been practicing for 31 years and a former prosecutor, I've never seen anything like this in my life. How did we get here? We got here because there was a total system failure of an institution and an entity that is supposed to protect our children. And Jordan wasn't seen. Repeated marked history of abuse. And let me be clear about something, that Jordan lived a very good life from the period of time when she was 8 months old all the way through her 6th birthday. And it was only a few days that she was going to be permanently placed with a family member that it was determined by the court that Emily Kelly would be her custodian.
When we think about this family, this is, again, unbelievable here. Did they track checks on this child? How often were they visiting the home to check her well-being?
Well, let's say this. During the course of time, based upon the evidence that we have thus far, that CPS seemed to be over-policing the home that she was in, and she was stable, didn't miss any school. And then when she was turned over to Emily Kelly, there was a hands-off approach. And our position is that Emily Kelly was basically given the privilege of being white in this situation, and a lot of signs were overlooked. The fact that Emily Kelly had 2 children in her care prior to Jordan that died. One was murdered by her then boyfriend.
Wait.
Allegedly.
The woman who they gave this child to, a previous person, died allegedly at the hands of her boyfriend, and they gave her another child?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
And she had an infant that also died. We don't know the circumstances under which that death occurred, but through the course of discovery, we are going to be diligent in uncovering those facts that are very well known and should have been known to CPS at the time when making a determination as to whether Emily Kelly was the appropriate place for Jordan to be placed. In addition, she had a recent DWI back in 2023, less than 24 months before she was placed with Jordan. So clearly there may be an indication of a substance abuse problem. And I say that because it was the very same thing that caused the removal from the initial removal of Jordan from her home with her mother, Portia. And so it's our position that had CPS done the appropriate background check, we certainly wouldn't be here.
Okay, the New York Post has a story saying that, first of all, it's just read the headline here. It says that the mother of the young girl, they're suing. It says they're suing for $250 million this torture house. Okay, but so in this story, they said that Jordan was placed in Kelly's custody at the request of the girl's dad, Derek Dixon, who is currently serving a 4-year state prison sentence on an attempted burglary conviction. Despite Portia Duncan's objections, Kelly was given full custody of the girl in April 2025. Why would the mother not get custody of her own child?
It's our position that social services and the county went over and beyond to thwart and prevent Portia Duncan from being a parent to her child. There are a number of people who petitioned in her family to care for Jordan, and all 4 of them were rejected. They were all 4 Black women. All 4 of them had jobs. All 4 of them had safe homes, and all 4 of them lived independently, and they were rejected by the court. And so these are things that we're going to be looking into as we move to uncover what actually happened here and who's responsible.
It is, there's a quote here from the DA. Prosecutors say she dealt with abuse, including, quote, sharp force injuries, caused her to miss a total of 40 school days, which is a hell of a lot. Quote, this was not an alleged single act of violence. Suffolk DA Attorney Ray Tierney said it was months of alleged systematic cruelty and sadistic abuse.
Yes, it was. And that is what we are looking to do right now in the course of discovery, is finding out who knew what when, any reporting. There's a report or something out there, and that's why, and I'm so glad that you talked about the media and how powerful it is, and especially Black-owned media. And there's a report out there that there was no finding of fault by CPS, by the state for CPS, and that is absolutely not true. There is nothing in that report that says that CPS was not at fault. It does say that they did not conduct any investigations in the year leading to her death. And the family court is very clear that prior to the final placement, she would have to be monitored by CPS for a period of 6 months prior to being awarded full custody. That did not take place here. And so our position is, on top of the miscues, that CPS and the school district violated their own policies in the care of Jordan Duncan, resulting, unfortunately, in her death.
Question for my panel. First off, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA out of D.C. Mustafa, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything that you have done and that you continue to do. You know, we know based upon some studies that New York State has a problem in relationship to the foster care system and children losing their lives, and of course dealing with abuse. Based upon where you sit, what needs to be done to better protect our children?
I would say that we have to be intentional about electing our officials. We talk about this all the time, how important local elections are. They matter because whoever you elect as your county executive has the power to put the person in place who would be ultimately in charge of your social services, which is the oversight, the entity that would oversee CPS. So I think it causes us to pause and really start where the center of gravity is, and that would be electing people who are qualified and intentional about making sure that policies and procedures are followed.
Next question.
And we also need
Go ahead.
laws and statutes with teeth to them that are very clear about what is required in order to make sure that a child is in safekeeping care.
Next question is Deborah G., DEIA consultant and employment specialist, joining us from D.C.
Hello, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for this family. So if ultimately what discovery finds out, if what you've described to this point, is it due to individual negligence, or does it reveal more of the systemic failures within the child welfare system? And how can we as the community really support seeing some kind of policy changes within CPS, or on a federal or a state level? Where would you say we really need to focus our interest in supporting this family?
I would say both. We need to hold those accountable for Jordan's death, but we also need to actively engage, reach out to our assemblymen and women in the state, our state senators who have the power to create the legislation that would give broader protections for children that are in the foster care system. Let's be very clear that this is a system, right? And in order for this system to work, it requires people that are experienced. It begs the question, is that really the intent? A lot of people have made a lot of money off of the family court and our plights within the Black family. And so the goal, I would hope, is to reunite people with their families and give them the resources that they need. And this is not a very easy issue to unwrap. It's layered. And so where there are times where we fall or life happens, that's why CPS and social services are in place in order to assist. And there was a complete system failure here with respect to this case.
Teresa Lundy, principal and founder of TML Communications out of Philadelphia.
Well, thank you so much for that well worth of information that was given. I think my question has to do with what are some things and some things we can look to make sure that this doesn't happen in our own backyard? What are some tips and tricks that you can give us?
I would say just on the ground level, the community, you see something, you say something, right? School district employees in New York State are mandated reporters. Jordan came to school at the age of 7 years old with a face full of makeup on her body. And no one thought, you know what, maybe somebody's covering up something here. A 7-year-old presenting to class with heavy makeup, that should have been a red flag. And so it's just examples such as that that we're going to be delving into during the course of discovery in this matter to determine whether or not there were other factors that were missed and incidents that were missed by the school and, of course, CPS and the county.
All right, then. Well, Ms. Palmore, we certainly appreciate it. Keep us up to date on what happens next, and certainly condolences go out to Jordan's mother, Portia.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. When you support this show, you're supporting these other shows on the network, and it allows us to be able to cover stories like this here that frankly are not being significantly talked about in mainstream media. You want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. As for credit cards as well, checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Back in a moment. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
A federal judge has rejected the Justice Department's attempt to get the names of the 2020 election workers in Fulton County, Georgia. Today, U.S. District Judge William Ray ruled that Trump's DOJ cannot have the names and personal contact information for every person who worked during the 2020 election. In April, the Justice Department issued a grand jury subpoena seeking the names and personal contact info of county employees and volunteer poll workers. Trump continues to claim without any evidence, he's just lying, that widespread voter fraud in Fulton County cost him victory in the state in the 2020 election. Judge Ray wrote in his ruling, quote, given the low need for the subpoenaed information and the highly burdensome nature of the disclosure of the same, the subpoena is unreasonable and must be quashed. While grand juries often work with federal prosecutors to investigate alleged crimes, that does not give the DOJ the right to use the grand jury to do whatever the DOJ wants. Well, unfortunately, Mustafa, Trump treats the DOJ, that they're his own personal attorneys, and he's exacting revenge. And the bottom line is he lost, period. Simple as that. He lost.
He continues to lose when we go to court, and in many, many instances, is because the sets of actions that they continue to try and move forward on are not only unlawful in the things that they're trying to implement, but it's nonsensical. And thankfully, we have judges who are calling them out and not just bending the knee, but actually focusing on the letter of the law and making sure that they are implementing it properly. So, the Department of Justice is supposed to be impartial. It's supposed to be looking out for the people of the United States, but unfortunately, it has been weaponized. But thankfully, there are more talented folks who are on the outside than those who are currently making decisions on the inside.
It really is pathetic, Teresa, because continue to see what these fools are doing. But again, he is such a narcissist, and he simply can't handle the fact that Joe Biden kicked his ass in 2020.
Yeah, Trump is a real character, not only as a person, but as a president. But, as much as he wants to still invoke that he is changing the past of what has been happening with the previous administration, he also needs to push to try to figure out what his agenda really is and the wins he's really had. Because all we've seen right now is him pushing, trying to figure out what his next message is, what his next deal is. And we really haven't really seen an actual foundational apparatus on how he's actually going to win for the American people. So we haven't seen that yet. But, you know, we definitely still will hear how he's still trying in the last 4 years, trying to right the wrongs of the last administration.
Zabor?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, what stood out to me is not the politics, but it's the process. Even if the government believes it's a legitimate reason to investigate, our courts exist to make sure that those investigations stay constitutional. And when we are just having a DOJ that does whatever it wants and we are making decisions to not follow that constitution, this is what Trump does. He just doesn't follow the rules, try to do things his own way. And we can't have a court that follows the administration's goals. That isn't just. That isn't the way our government is meant to be ran. That isn't the way the Department of Justice is meant to be ran. And we have to make sure that we are continuing to see these situations where Trump lose and understand that these subpoenas are broad. They don't have enough information. They're not strong enough. And, you can't just release personal information of election workers just because you feel like it or because you want the next elections to go the way in which you want to go. We know that this is voter oppression at its best. They're doing everything in their power to keep people from getting out to vote, to keep people from mailing in their votes, to keep people from being able to really, be diverse and work the election polls. So if we target the election workers, maybe they won't show up. And we know what we've always done as people of color, show up and make sure that we are doing our civic duty. So, can't use the DOJ to do what you want it to do.
Well, unfortunately, what we are seeing from Thug in Chief is that he wants to literally cause folks to bend their knee. The New York Times has this story. Check this out. Administration demands states change voting rules or lose anti-terrorism funds. Federal officials said they would withhold some money unless states pursue paper ballot systems, verify citizenship, and conduct costly audits. I mean, this is just the latest stupidity of these people. It says FEMA, part of the Homeland Security Department, has told states that it would withhold 20% of some terrorism preparedness grants unless they provide, quote, proof of compliance with the election security measures. The grants, which total $1 billion each year, help pay for physical barriers and other security measures, as well as planning and drill exercises and cybersecurity protections. They've been blocked with this nonsense through federal courts, but they're going to continue doing it over and over and over and over and over again, Zabor.
Definitely. This is what our president does. He doesn't have proper information. He just attacks things on however he feels. And his goal is to uphold racism, uphold white supremacy, not think about what is actually a legitimate concern and focus on the things that we really need to concern. And he really just doesn't have the knowledge to do those things. And so if we keep having systems and people and all of these people support his ignorance, we keep getting in these same spots. They're attacking voting rights, not because anything has been proven. Time and time again, we keep seeing that it's actually been the opposite of what he said. Our elections have been fair. Our elections are doing the things that they're supposed to do, but we're attacking them just because you know that you're not doing anything to make people continue to support. You see your support dwindling. You see how this attack on voters are really impacting us. And as a woman and thinking of the SAVAC and thinking of the obstacles that they're doing to try to keep us from voting, it's just really important that we stay vigilant and we really attack them and work hard to ensure that they're not able to dismantle our voting rights.
Well, I mean, look at this one here, Mustafa. Another New York Times story. Justice Department threatens top election officials over non-citizen voting. Look, the letters come amid President Trump's efforts to tighten election rules to prevent a problem that doesn't exist. Widespread non-citizen voting. They sent this idiot right here, Harmeet Dillon, who is literally an evil, despicable person. They sent letters to 11 states threatening criminal prosecution if ballots were cast by non-citizens.
Well, let's be clear so everybody understands that if you are not a citizen, you cannot vote.
Existing laws say that.
It does. But they want to pretend like it doesn't, and that there is a problem. We know that the only problem is that they have no policies that attract, the vast majority of Americans. So they try and play around here on the fringes of this. Even the folks who come from their own party, when you look at the state of Georgia, the heads of the government there have even said that there was no irregularities, there was no voter fraud, none of those different types of things. But they continue to, try and peddle this type of story to folks who don't know any better or who only get their information from one source. The other part of it is that, remember, he talked about cleaning up the swamp, right? That was his big thing, or one of his big things. Now, we're not even going to talk about the reflecting pool in the swamp that he created there, but what he did, the way he thought he could get rid of the swamp was to move the swamp all across the country, and that's exactly what's going on. Now, folks, remember, they are using your tax dollars to go after, this misinformation that they continue to peddle, to go after these non-existent sets of stories and actions that are going on. So yeah, these people are devilish in many ways, but they are also affecting your pocketbook. They are affecting programs that these dollars should go to. And the last point that I'll make is that when the last two stories here that we just talked about, whether you're talking about terrorism or you're talking about environmental protection, you're talking about the impacts that are going to happen from many of these storms and wildfires, they threaten folks that if you don't do something else over here, that you won't have the dollars that are necessary to help folks to be safe. And to be able to be protected and to be able to move forward. So we should really be giving that strong consideration when you go to the ballot box. Do you want an administration who cares about you, that's focused on the issues that are central to your life? Or do you want an administration that continues to follow ghosts and to follow these negative disinformation sets of actions that have nothing to do with your everyday life?
This was so crazy. Just unbelievable, Teresa. Go back to my iPad. It says, the letters sent on Tuesday come from Harmeet Dillon, who runs the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. They are largely identical to multiple copies obtained by the New York Times. The 7-page letters detail a host of federal election laws that prohibit non-citizens from voting in elections, laws that have been clear for decades. The election officials should write back going, duh.
You're right. One thing about Trump's administration, they know how to keep people distracted because there are so many things happening internationally right now that he's like, instead of people focusing on that, let's focus on the stuff that's already changed, but we'll make it seem like it isn't changed so we can just have something else to do. I was on social media the other day, probably like 2 days ago, and I saw something about Trump accounts, right, for young people to sign up. And I just said, what is our government telling us to do to sign up for a Trump account that we don't know, I guess, if FDIC approved? I guess the other banks aren't doing the same thing, Citizen, PNC, and where have you. And it's just like a massive distraction campaign that I think they just sit there in their offices. Okay, this is a bigger issue we have to deal with, but how do we distract the American people on something tedious so they don't come protest on something else? So I think this is the ongoing tyranny that we're seeing coming from this administration, and I'm not sure if we're going to let up anytime soon while he's still there.
Pretty crazy. All right, folks. June 27th, we were in Richmond, Virginia for the Democrats' Commonwealth Gala. I had an opportunity to catch up with Governor Abigail Spanberger, as well as Attorney General Jones, as well as other officials. And so we're going to bring a lot of those interviews to you. If you saw a live stream that night, maybe so. And here's my conversation with Governor Spanberger.
Last time we talked, you were in a car. Grab that. You were in a car.
This is a much better location.
Yes, absolutely. It is. You were a member of Congress. You know how that works, but being governor is a lot different. So how has that transition been for the last 6 months?
It's been fantastic. We've had a busy first 6 months. Certainly, we worked in partnership with the General Assembly on a whole host of priorities, lowering costs, strengthening our communities, investing in public schools. And also through my administration, we've been focused on making some real reforms within our state agencies just this past week, we did a press release and a press conference talking about some of the major overhauls we've done within Department of Corrections to strengthen a system and make sure that we're taking care of all of our community members and fixing some things that are systemically broken. We're off to a strong start, and I look forward to the next 3.5 years.
It's a lot easier to have a trifecta when you control the House and the Senate, as opposed to having the opposing party control it. But it also means, though, that there are no excuses about not delivering when the public says, wait a minute, y'all control all of it.
That's right. That's right. And it means that we have to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. Certainly the things that I talked about on the campaign trail when I was running for governor, and so much of what the 64 members of the House of Delegates who were on the ballot with me, we talked about issues of affordability. We talked about lowering costs in health care. I'm really proud of some of the prescription drug-related legislation that they pushed through. We got signed into law. A number of really innovative, and we heard Senator Warner talk about some of the housing priorities that we've done here in Virginia, models for the rest of the country. Renewable energy.
Yeah, I heard him talk about in his 7x7x7 speech. When he comes over here, I'm going to remind him that the itinerary says 7 minutes.
Listen,
but I'm just saying.
No one can stop Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator from Virginia. But he was on fire, so I was happy to see him go.
The thing that I interviewed Congressman Hakeem Jeffries 2 days ago, and I was talking about how do you really speak of driving grassroots for African-American voters. And he talked about what happened here in this state, what Speaker Don Scott did, the campaigns that were run here. So I'm curious, are Democrats in other parts of the country, and I asked Senate Speaker Scott, and he said the answer was no, is leadership talking to folks here to say, okay, not only how were you able to take back the House, control the Senate, take back the governor's mansion, but even when it came to the special election with the Supreme Court of the state throughout, and I still don't understand their reasoning, are they actually studying what happened and listening to understand how to replicate this nationally?
Not as much as I think people should be. And I'll tell you why. And I presume Speaker Scott probably said a lot of the same things. Virginia's a really representative state as it relates to the rest of the country. Whether it's our rural communities or our urban communities, whether it's our agriculture or our industry, we have really population-dense Latino communities, South Asian communities. We have strong and vibrant Black communities in cities and in leadership, and also so much of what you see throughout the South, which is rural agricultural Black farmers who for so long have gotten forgotten. So across Virginia, we have so much of what exists at the national level, and what we were able to do in 2025, flipping our 3 statewide seats, flipping 13 seats in the House of Delegates, and as you mentioned, in the referendum, which was in April, a totally random time for an election, not only did we vote and pass that referendum on redistricting. Now, as you mentioned, the Supreme Court of Virginia overturned it, but just back in 2020, we had 66% of the people voted for our redistricting amendment. So that speaks to how substantially we made the argument about the urgency of that temporary responsive fix. And I think there's a lot to be learned from Virginia. Of course, I'm biased as the governor of Virginia, but truly our communities and what we were able to do, it was highly tactical, highly engaged. And we basically, as a coordinated campaign, decided we have to make sure that, of course, there are people who are deeply engaged voters, but it is about reaching people in the places where they are, where they're most comfortable, so that they don't have to come to us all the time. And so, I mean, between the bus tours and the visits to churches and faith centers and community events, we just did the back to the basics, deep community-driven campaigning. All of us did.
Last question for you. As a part of that, when I look at the numbers, when I saw the Black turnout, especially in those last few days and on Election Day, significant. And what I've said to numerous strategists, that you can't run an old playbook, that you're going to have to spend 3 to 4 much time, and you're going to spend 3 to 4 times that much money, because the model 20 years ago, the Obama model does not work. The Jackson model does not work, and I think in too many cases, we have seen the last 6 elections national, we've seen a decrease in Black voter turnout because strategists are spending their time saying, no, we got them. And I'm like, no, you're going to have to talk to them over and over and over again, and not just assume that African-American voters are going to vote Democratic.
And the thing where it comes down to is people are busy and life is hard and gas prices are going up and you're worried about your kids, right? And it's about connecting the dots. And so even if you think somebody might be likely vote for a Democrat if they get out and vote, it's about making sure that you're giving them a reason to believe that it's worth it and giving them a reason to know, because you're there, you're showing up, you're talking about the issues that are mattering to them. And that counts for all voters, but particularly we talk so frequently about the fact that, there's turnout efforts for black voters, but what we did in Virginia was a longer term communication effort to make sure that, yes, the person who's going to go out and vote, okay, they're going to go out and vote, but let's make sure they have the information to talk to their friends and their family. I call it connecting the dots. And yes, and so that not only they're going to check that box when they go to the ballot, but they're going to inspire and excite and engage their friends and family to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, Governor Abigail Spanberger, glad to be here. Glad to see you, and I appreciate you stopping by chatting with us.
Are you going to hit the dance floor? We're Democrats.
Look, I'm always dancing, so I've never called myself anything, but I do call myself a dancer. But I got to do work, so y'all can enjoy it, but I got to do a little bit more work. And Senator Warner's going to be coming over here soon, so I'm going to make sure he does not go 25 minutes.
Well, good luck with that, my friends.
All right, folks. Got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk with the attorney for those families in Mississippi suing over them being body searched. Also, Donald Trump falls asleep again overseas, and then he's also just wandering around. Remember him when he was constantly trashing President Biden for the same thing? Yep, something to talk about. Folks, before we go, don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. We've had more than 48,000 people donate to our show over the last almost 8 years. And so if you want to support what we do, we don't sit here and charge subscriptions. We don't hide our content behind a paywall. Our goal is to have our content to be free and open for everybody to be able to partake. And so it's this show, it's 4 other shows here on the network. So when you give, you're supporting all of those shows. If you want to do so, use Cash App. Well, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's for credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
This is Tamala Mann.
And this is David Mann. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Are suing the Attala County School District for unlawfully strip searching students at McAdams High School for allegedly having vapes. The search found nothing. Well, those families say it's time for y'all to pay up. Keith French is the attorney for the families. Keith, glad to have you here. So you have 7 families here. At any point were these families called before these students were strip searched?
No, the families weren't called at all and forced. In fact, the children were not given a meaningful explanation for it at the time, and they were made to believe that they had no real choice. So they were coerced by the school officials involved and told either you submit yourself to the school search or you can endure a suspension. So after that, one by one, they forced each student to enter a room alone. They weren't exactly sure what was about to happen to them. But when they got there, they were forced to strip off their pants and undergarments, expose their intimate areas, including their genitals. They were told to bend over and squat while a school official subjected them to degrading and deeply intrusive searches. And, it stripped them not only of their privacy, but their dignity. But no contraband or weapons were found.
And when you say strip search, was it clothes off or were they stripped naked?
Their underwear were taken off. So their genitals were exposed when they were forced to bend over and squat.
So they were stripped as if they were prisoners. When people go to prison, they actually have them, they're naked and spread butt cheeks. That's what they did here?
That's right. That's right. Which really opens the door to this case about a broader issue. We don't have enough evidence to speak to motive in this case, but scenarios like this begs the question, when government officials encounter Black children from low-income backgrounds, do they see children first or do they see suspects?
This obviously is shocking, stunning, so what happened? After it happened, these kids came home, told family members what took place, and did they then reach out to the school district?
Not exactly. The kids were actually too humiliated and embarrassed to tell their parents. I mean, you can imagine being 16 or 17 years old, having to sit across from your parents and tell them, I went into the room with an adult and had to pull down my underwear. So they didn't tell them. There was only one student. The kids didn't discuss it amongst themselves. There was one student whose parents called us after we had a personal conversation with him. He went ahead and told us the truth. We didn't know whether the other students had been strip searched as well, but I can tell you this, that one of the parents actually went and had a meeting with some of the school officials, including the officer involved that conducted the strip search. And in a recording, he admitted to strip searching each and every one of the children.
Questions from the panel. First off, Teresa.
Yeah, one, I'm disgusted. Here's a question for you. So where are you at in the process? How is justice being rendered?
We filed a complaint in federal court. We're attempting to serve all of the defendants involved in this case. Some of them are being pretty evasive. But once that happens, a judge will issue a scheduling order, and then we can start to get some discovery and find out, why on earth would a school official do something like this? You know, one of the things that people are missing about this case is that, you know, the school official involved had a wand, and he is heard on this recording also stating that he could have used that wand. In fact, the wands are used exactly for this sort of scenario to check, you know, the kids to see if they had anything on them. But he didn't do it. Instead, he took the extra leap to strip search them. And so we want to really find out, you know, what's the reasoning about this. There's a broader context where Black students in Mississippi face significantly disproportionate school discipline rates, especially compared to their white peers. You know, of course, they're suspended and expelled at far higher rates, but they're also disciplined at a much higher rate, and they receive much more severe punishment. You know, so, you know, federal guidelines to address these disparities in school discipline actually came under President Barack Obama in his 2014 administration. You know, federal officials encouraged restorative justice practices that didn't criminalize students and push them to become, you know, a school to prison statistic. But those rules were rolled back by President Donald Trump's administration. And somehow I feel like in discovery, we might find out that this might be a regular occurrence because the kids, you know, at first didn't say anything about it.
Zabora.
So what really concerns me is I'm just wondering, at what point does a strip search move from being just a school discipline issue and become more of a violation of that child's constitutional rights, and even raise concerns about child abuse and thinking of sexual assault towards a child? And what legal protections do these minors and their families have in situations like these?
Yeah, well, when you read the facts of this case, you know, it's not a large jump or to presume that, you know, there is something perverted about doing something like this with kids. But yeah, we absolutely, that's what we filed our claims, our Fourth Amendment claims for unreasonable search and seizure and 14th Amendment claims. You know, school searches, they don't require a warrant or probable cause, but they have to be reasonable at the start and reasonable in scope. And the search can't be excessively intrusive when you consider the student's age, sex, and the alleged infraction. And keep in mind, these students said that they didn't have a vape. You know, they were just in the bathroom and it was a transition between class periods. You know, so there's no real justification for this official to have crossed the line here. And there's plenty of precedent in the Supreme Court and the Fifth Circuit, which Mississippi is in, you know, that says that, you know, reasonable suspicion is not a blank check. The more invasive the search, the stronger and more specific the justification must be. You know, there wasn't any exigent circumstances where there was someone thought a weapon was around or somebody could have been harmed. Nothing of the sort, you know, but the officer did what he did. So that's what we're doing. We're filing a lawsuit based on the violation of their constitutional rights. You know, the burden is not on the children to resist government authority. The burden is on the government officials who had to act lawfully before conducting an invasive search. So, you know, legally speaking, the children could have actually said, you know, absolutely no, we don't want to be searched. But practically, you know, these are children and the adults have the power in this scenario. So they felt like they didn't have a choice, especially when you're threatening them with suspension.
Mustafa?
I mean, this is just so messed up on so many levels. You know, Mississippi has a long history. Everybody remembers the auction blocks, and they bring Black people up on those auction blocks, and you be stripped down and have to show your genitalia and your teeth and all this other stuff. You know, the question is, one is you answered about the sexual abuse sort of element of this. The other one is the mental health abuse, because when you go through a situation like this, I have a psychology background. You know, it can be a lot of therapy that's needed to help you to understand that you still have value and that you're still a human. I'm curious what parts of those elements might come into this case.
Absolutely right. They're part of the damages. You know, we've had some of the students, you know, there were 9 students total. I represent 7 of them. We've had some students that, you know, they're scared. They're dealing with a lot of anxiety. One of the students stopped going back to school because, here's another big shocker, the officer and school officials involved were allowed to stay on campus for the remainder of the year. So these students were too scared to go to school. We have one student that went to school but was too scared to go to the bathroom and use the bathroom, so he had to call his parents so they can come pick him up. You know, couple of the students are on medication now. They're all receiving some sort of treatment. And we do know this. Students who are suspended, expelled, or otherwise kicked out of the classroom or receive some severe punishment, they're more likely to have anger issues and become disconnected from their classmates and the school environment. And then they're more likely to be disengaged from school. That's why these disparities with this sort of disciplinary framing against Black children, especially from low-income areas, are so important to prevent and bring awareness to, because it's part of the school to prison pipeline. You know, they'll start missing out on learning time and likely have worse academic outcomes, including, you know, worse rates of graduation. So, of course, across the country, you know, we've debated the limits on government authority over children in schools, at borders, during police encounters. You know, regardless where somebody falls politically, there's a broad agreement, or it should be, on one principle, and that's that children should occupy, you know, very special constitutional and moral position because they're uniquely vulnerable. And that's what the Constitution is meant for. It's supposed to protect those, the vulnerable children, just as much as those who are privileged.
All right, then. Well, keep us abreast, Keith, of what happens next. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, going to a break. We come back. Donald Trump don't give a damn about Black people and unemployment. And then he'll lie about it. We're going to talk about that. And also, should we call him the snoozer-in-chief? He just keeps falling asleep. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I keep telling y'all about this war on Black America from Republicans, Donald Trump and MAGA, and you better believe it. Now, last week's jobs report revealed that the Black unemployment rate remains double that of the white rate. Now, let's be real clear. In April, it was 7.3%, May and June, 6.6%. Okay? Now, however, unemployment for Black men dropped to 5.8%. For Black women, it increased to 5.7%. Now, Donald Trump continues just to ignore it. Now, check this out. If you want to see how much of a liar he is, last month, speaking to a group of farmers in western Wisconsin, you know, people who he is devastated, he just flat out lied about Black unemployment.
This is something that's amazing. African American unemployment is now doing better than it's ever done. And I don't know where that stat came from, but I'll take it. I don't know where the hell that stat came, but we'll take it. And a short time ago, we were a dead country. We were dead as a doornail. If you look, go back 2 years, we were a laughingstock.
Okay, all right. So I just want to be clear. I don't know where in the hell that came from, but I'll take it. Play it again.
This is something that's amazing. African American unemployment is now doing better than it's ever done. And I don't know where that stat came from, but I'll take it. I don't know where that stat came, but we'll take it. And a short time ago, we were a dead country. We were dead as a doornail. If you look, go back 2 years, we were a laughingstock all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So first of all, let's deal with the lies there. In the first term of Trump, black unemployment went down to a record 5.3%. Record didn't last long because under President Joe Biden, black unemployment hit a record low of 4.8%. That was in April of 2023. So when Trump said that, now put the black unemployment numbers up, y'all. So this was last month. So that means that the June jobs report were the May numbers. Y'all, it's right there at 6.6%. In fact, the New York Times even lays out that black unemployment had gone up above 8%, and then it settled back down. It's right here. Black unemployment reached a record low of 5.3% during Mr. Trump's first term. A record was shattered by President Biden in 2023 when it fell to 4.8%. In Mr. Trump's second term, the rate has increased since he was sworn into office January 2025 when it was 6.2%. It has not fallen below 6% since then, and it peaked at 8% last fall. So the liar in chief just straight up lied. Now people are like, oh my God, that's great. I wonder how many black people were actually in that audience. Western Wisconsin, I doubt none. But you see what's going on here. And so he doesn't care. He doesn't care. But you have to recognize, he doesn't care because when he was saying during the campaign, oh, I care about black unemployment, and these Simple Simons believed him, they were stupid. We knew he was lying. We tried to tell you. And all of his policies, since the moment he was inaugurated, has been to target and attack black America. And so you really had to be stupid to be black and support Donald Trump when everything that they are doing is about destroying black America. And I keep telling y'all, he will lie about a lie. And he sat there and lied about those unemployment numbers, Mustafa.
Yeah, well, that's par for the course for this administration. They continue to put these false narratives out there. It was kind of interesting, though, when he talked about that statistic. I know he would have looked to the side and say, how the hell did that happen? Because that was not a part of our game plan. But then when you really unpack those numbers, you understand. All you have to do is look at the policies that they have implemented. We saw all the black women who lost employment opportunities and got fired or let go. We have also seen black men losing jobs consistently. We also know that they make sure that there's no effort to make sure that there's fairness in the hiring process. And we know who's disproportionately impacted there. So they have no intention of doing anything to help our community, to make sure that there's fairness in the hiring process. Then you look at the contracting and subcontracting opportunities that are out there. They stripped away any of the protections that are there. So I'm not sure how anyone could possibly think that they've done anything to help our community economically.
And here are more lies, Deborah. Go back to my iPad. Allison Schuster, a White House spokeswoman, insisted that Mr. Trump, quote, has done more for black Americans than any other president in recent history. That's total bullshit. She pointed to policies in his first term, which included the previous record low for the black unemployment rate, the creation of opportunity zones in distressed housing communities, and the long-term funding for historically black colleges and universities. Now, you know they can't provide any data to support any of that. Quote, the second Trump administration is building on those tremendous successes by making our communities safe and beautiful, stopping the flow of illegal migrants who are undermining American workers, signing the largest working class tax cut in American history, and putting American children on a path toward generational wealth through Trump accounts, Mrs. Schuster said. All bullshit, Zabor.
Definitely. I mean, just in looking at how much cuts we've had on diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility, and how the supports that we used to have, like the work opportunity tax credit, it hasn't been, it was authorized through December 2025. It hasn't been renewed. That is something where you gave access to individuals that had disabilities, that people that were getting out of the criminal justice system and returning to society, or individuals that were receiving SNAP benefits and TANF benefits. Those tax credits really allowed employers to hire individuals that are not necessarily getting the same access to jobs. So we see these programs are being took away and are not being renewed. So how can you think unemployment rate for those individuals that are already struggling to get employment would increase? There's no way that it could. You know, we're not having the protections to provide interpreters for deaf individuals anymore. When I need an accommodation for work, we're not getting those things. So we're watching all of these Black women be laid off, all of these individuals with disabilities not be able to get the accommodations that they need in the workplace. And our labor market research is not it. All of the activities and the programs that were there to assist individuals that already are marginalized in employment are being diminished or took away completely. So when you think about unemployment and how a person can say that I don't know where these numbers come from, of course you don't know where these numbers come from. You don't even know we have 7 wonders in the world. You know what I mean? So how can I expect you to understand what the data is and how the data is impacting the everyday Black person? You're not. You don't care about that person. You're just talking out your neck and it doesn't even matter.
He is a liar. The White House spokeswomen are lying, Teresa. But again, this is what they do. They're experts at lying.
You know, the one thing I saw during this 250th celebration of America's birth was Trump on his main stage at the State Fair. And I was really interested in what his speech had to say. And I felt like he was trying. And whoever the, spokesperson, the writers are for his administration, they did a really good job, a high-level job of trying to exaggerate what was actually done. There was no substance. There was no real fact-based truth. It was like the best fluff I've ever seen, circled with like a whole background of music to help amplify it. So I think what we're seeing again from this administration is, yes, it is a exaggerated fascination of excellence in what they see is getting done. But what we see is just a lot of talk and high-level ideas, but not actually stuff that's getting done. And that's what also makes a really big difference in somebody who has never been in this space or field, running and understanding what the public's needs are and being in public service, but somebody who's just only focused on being in business and trying to get gains versus losses.
Yep, they just straight. I mean, he'll just sit there and just lie. He'll just lie and lie and lie. Like he was, of course, he's overseas, and he made this comment. We've had probably the best year ever had by an American president. We've had the greatest economy we've ever had. We have $19.2 trillion being invested in the United States. It's a world record. Y'all, he's a liar. Okay, I just want everybody to understand something. The United States economy is $30 trillion. The number 2 economy in the world is China at $19 trillion. This idiot wants you to believe that more money is being invested in the United States than the second largest economy in the world. He's absolutely full of shit. Not only that, so that we played that clip about African American unemployment. So I'm gonna play it, but I want to play it in full because he's always trashing Biden. So let's just play it again.
This is something that's amazing. African American unemployment is now doing better than it's ever done. And I don't know where that stat came from, but I'll take it. I don't know where the hell that stat came, but we'll take it. And a short time ago, we were a dead country. We were dead as a doornail. If you look, go back 2 years, we were a laughing stock all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. He couldn't walk down a flight of stairs either, you know. And we had everybody, we were a laughing stock all over the world. And I was with the King of Saudi Arabia because I wanted him to invest trillions of dollars into our country. Look at that whole situation now, too. It's very interesting. But he was good, and he said to me, you know, President, it's amazing. A year ago, a year and a half ago, we thought you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world that we are. We're the strongest, we're the hottest, and we're the most respected country anywhere in the world.
First of all, y'all know damn well the Saudi king didn't say that. Straight lie. And he always was trashing Biden, talking about, how he was Sleepy Joe and falling asleep and couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. You mean this Sleepy Joe right here? You mean this one right here? Oh, I'm sorry. This was the snoozer-in-chief, y'all, at the July 4th parade. Yeah, this was him. It gets better. Here they were with a world leaders in Turkey today. And this is the video of Donald Trump falling asleep at the news conference. Roll it.
Biz 5 uçağı da sözünü aldık ve Sayın Trump'ın bu konuda bize ayrıca sözü var ve şimdi de bu liderler zirvesinde yapacağımız görüşmelerde F-35 ile ilgili kendilerinden bu daha önce aldığımız sözün geleceğe yönelik olumlu şekilde test ettiğimizi biliyorum ve bu konuda da Sayın Trump her zaman sözünün arkasındadır. Burada yine inşallah F-35 konusunda.
Now, and I'm sure some of y'all may say, he was listening to the interpreter. No, here's a zoomed-in look at Donald Trump as he was talking. Look at him, eyes closed. We all know that look. We all have used that look in church. We've had that same look sitting in class. Look at that. One eye open, they still looking. See like we know his ass falling asleep. All right, now check this out. He was always criticizing Biden. Here's video of his ass just roaming around, not knowing where in the hell he was going.
Told the Iranian leaders, whoever they are, I'm staying out of this. Right. And then they rocketed Turkey a couple of times. So now they said, and they've said some negative things about.
He needed him to guide him. Like, hey, you're wandering. So I mean, Teresa, this is the snoozer-in-chief.
I start cracking up because I'm just like, I think I probably did that in like one of my college course classes where it's just like, I woke up with the test, but yeah, it's very interesting. Trump thinks whatever energy drink he's on, that it doesn't happen. I also find it interesting that clip is from their local media outlet, and we did not see that on Fox News or any other major station, because I'm sure Trump, was probably going to threaten to remove their FEC license like he is doing everybody else. So yes, Donald Trump is sleeping. He is not listening to an interpreter because we've seen him listen to interpreters on many occasions and in many rooms. So he just needs to admit you are sleeping, during an international meeting, which is truly important, especially as you talk about all these wins and gains. But again, this is our president. So, yeah.
Last month when G7 leaders were meeting, Mustafa, the doddering, wandering Trump did it again. I mean, here you see they were taking the picture, then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I need to go take a nap, so I'll see y'all later. And they were like, no, bring your old ass back. We got more pictures to take. And he's like, oh, damn, I can't. Like, y'all stop me from taking a nap.
I mean, it's funny, but there's a serious aspect to this, right? I used to have this older gentleman when I was growing up in my community. His name was Mr. Wayman. Mr. Wayman would fall asleep while he was walking. And we just used to have to, keep our hands close to him and take care of him, whether he was in church or whether he was just walking down the road. The seriousness of this is that it's very disrespectful on the international level when you have these top level discussions and conversations for you not to be on top of your game. Now, yes, he is a man of, over 80 years old now. And yes, who knows? Maybe it's because he's up late night tweeting. I don't know. If that's the case, you need to stop. Maybe he has narcolepsy. In narcolepsy, you fall asleep. So he needs to address that if that's the case. Or maybe, and I'm saying maybe, I'm not saying this is true, but when you have early onset dementia or Alzheimer's, it also has some significant impacts where you can just fall asleep in the daytime. Of course, it can be disrupted at night. So there are a number of things. So I call him Sleepy D because, he just continues to fall asleep and he may just be bored. He may not feel that these things require his attention. So he's not properly preparing his body, or maybe his body will no longer allow him to properly prepare.
Well, we know doggone well he's been propped up. That's what's going on. And so, again, always trying to sit here and criticize Biden at every turn when he's just all over the place and like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. But we know he is a flat-out awful liar. We know he loves to make things up. Again, what he's constantly doing is just wandering and just also saying absolutely insane, crazy things. And that's exactly who he is and what he is good at. And just making stuff up. I mean, matter of fact, here he was in a restaurant making up, again, the money being invested. And they can't quantify this money being invested. So remember, he said 19 trillion. Listen to this one.
Good. The country is doing well. We are turned 18 trillion being invested.
And I keep telling y'all, MAGA's so dumb, they just believe anything. Oh, yeah, 18 trillion being invested, yet these same folks in Wisconsin are the ones who are filing for bankruptcy because they're losing their family farms. But he keeps just lying about the investment. All right, y'all, let's go to a break. We, of course, be having our Shop Black Star Network segment, talking to a black-owned company with its USGA-approved golf balls. And so looking forward to that. Lots more talk about. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Latasha from the A.
And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
National Guard soldiers fatally shot a 20-year-old black man who allegedly had a gun in downtown Memphis. According to police, Tyron Johnson turned his gun towards the Tennessee National Guard members during a pursuit on Sunday morning. The soldiers were responding alongside local police to reports of gunshots around 4 a.m. when they began pursuing an armed man who was fleeing on foot. Memphis police said the guardsmen opened fire after Johnson aimed his weapon at them. Johnson died at the scene despite attempts at first aid by 2 National Guard medical specialists. The National Guard members are part of a federal task force in Memphis created by the Trump administration, which sent troops and federal agents to Democratic-run cities last year. Trump has characterized these cities as being overrun with crime. Memphis Mayor Paul Young, a Democrat, pointed out that crime rates in the city were already declining when Governor Bill Lee deployed the National Guard to Memphis. NAACP is launching a $20 million Get Out the Vote campaign ahead of the 2026 midterm elections as part of the nation's 250th anniversary celebration. In a partnership with GSSA, a Colorado-based data and election strategy group, the NAACP says it plans to recruit 20,000 volunteers and mobilize 6.5 million black voters across 14 states and 33 congressional districts. The objective is to reach 6.5 million black voters through radio ads and other spots. According to the Pew Research Center, black voters accounted for 12.1% of the 131 million voters in the 2008 presidential election. About 2 in 3 eligible black Americans voted in the 2012 presidential election, per the Census Bureau. The NAACP's voter engagement effort will target infrequent voters in hopes of significantly increasing turnout compared to those years. All right, if you want to see a grossly out of touch, rich white man, there's no better example than the individual who had to leave Fox News because he kept messing with women and sexually harassing them. So Bill O'Reilly, this idiot is actually slamming Americans who are struggling with inflation, saying, what's wrong with y'all? Get your act together. On his No Spin News podcast, Bill O'Reilly said these people need to stop complaining and just shut up and get to the stock market.
Thought record high in the stock market. You may know that. Oil prices coming down, it was easily predictable, and they'll continue to drop. We hope they go below $70 a barrel. Now, the American oil companies will take their sweet time because they want to make as much money as possible from us, dropping at the pump, but it'll happen. But the most important thing is that about 40% of Americans have no stocks, no mutual funds, no IRAs, nothing. Okay? 58%, according to Gallup, have stocks. This is how you grow your money in a capitalist society. Now, if you don't have any stocks, what the deuce do you think is going to happen to you when you get older? What do you think, that the government is going to provide a comfortable living for you? Is that what you think? You'll get Social Security, but that ekes by. You want to live in a trailer? The stock market is the way to amass capital. And I'm not a speculator. I just tell my guys, I have a financial advisor, and you know you have to have one. Buy the S&P, the Standard & Poor's. That means that buy and just hold it. My portfolio is doing great because Trump is, his policies appeal to the big companies. But 40% of Americans don't participate in capitalism, and a lot of them are yowling about high prices. Come on. You get 4% inflation here. Live in the real world. So you younger people, you got to get into the stock market. Don't take big risks. Go with the conservative stuff.
What a pompous asshole. Go to my iPad. This is from Forbes. This is an article dating November 7th, 2017. Even with the $32 million settlement, Bill O'Reilly made millions last year. And when you go into the article, it says right here, okay, they did a $20 million payout to Gretchen Carlson. And it says, discounting the settlement, O'Reilly would have earned $5 million last year. In fact, the former television host, who now has subscription-based podcast No Spin News, an online video series, earned $37 million in the 12 months leading up to June 1st, 2017, landing him a spot on Forbes' annual list of top-earning television hosts and his biggest annual haul since Forbes started keeping track. He made money from Fox News. He made money from selling his books, speaking gigs, a National Geographic adaptation of one of his books, all of that. So you got to be pretty arrogant. So you need to put your money in the stock market. What extra money? Housing costs have exploded. See, when you are worth more than $100 million, you don't really care about housing costs. You don't care about gas prices. You don't care about groceries increasing. All right? You don't care about daycare. You don't care about the cost of living because you're living on a whole different level than nearly all Americans. This is what happens when you have these rich, pompous idiots who say these things. And see, one of the criticisms that I have of cable news and broadcast news is that the individuals that you're often seeing sitting in those anchor chairs are making millions of dollars living in New York City or Washington, D.C. Their children don't go to public schools. They go to private school. They go to boarding schools. Their kids aren't riding the school bus. They're being taken to school via car service. And so he dares to say this. Oh, the way you get wealth in this country is in the stock market. Hey, how about actually pensions? What about that, Bill? Oh, I'm sorry. Companies got rid of that in favor of 401ks because it was a way for them to make more money. How about increasing wages? It's a good idea. What about that? Again, this is the arrogance of white conservatives. Oh, it's been amazing under Trump. It's been just unbelievable. Yeah, for the rich. Trump's big, beautiful bill, it was for people like Bill O'Reilly. Oh, he's ecstatic. Remember the last time Trump was there? They allowed folk to be able to write off planes and boats and all sort of stuff? Because that's who Trump cares about. He cares about the super rich in America. This is just unbelievably arrogant, Zabora.
Definitely. They're not worried about the little person and the person that everyday people and what our everyday people needs. Their concern is, how do we get to the top? Because they're already there, right? How do we stay at the top? And they don't care about how that affects anyone beneath them. So when I'm thinking and hearing what Bill O'Reilly says, or I'm listening to Trump say things that is just very dismissive of the individual that has to work to stay in the position they're in. And then they're being dismissed from jobs, like all of those Black women from the government that did absolutely nothing but go to work, show up, do a good job, do all of the things that they were supposed to, work for years, and then you just let me go with no real reason. So that you can say we don't have the budget to fund all of these services that meet the needs of our communities and the people that we really love and are around and are making the world really work, that were so-called what did they call them during COVID? The people that, you know, we need those people. We need the Walmart worker. We need the person that's online. But when you're cutting programs that impact those individuals, how can you say that those are the people that we really need, but your programs don't reflect that? So you cut funding in one area that is focused on those programs, and you increase your $1 billion bottom line. All of the tech bros bottom line has increased. Trump, for as poor of a money manager as he is when it comes to our country, his bottom line and his family's bottom line continues to increase. He study increases on how many billions of dollars him and Elon Musk and becoming trillionaires and how those things are helping their lives, but they're cutting the funding that helps everyday Americans. And the people that are his supporters are the people that are getting impacted more than they even can imagine, but they're blindly supporting racism versus really paying attention to what they need and how their households are being affected from a president that they are die-hard lovers, and they're looking like, what are the communists doing or the socialists doing? When who are they? You can't identify them. There's no accountability for our president or the agencies that he has allowed to just control our lives.
This fool made $25 million a year at Fox News, and he's telling people, suck it up?
Like, how do you even get the right to say that? You don't even know what it's like to live in a place like Oklahoma.
Is Teresa there?
Yes, I'm here.
There you go. I was asking a question. I said, here he is. He made $25 million a year. He's having nerves to tell people to suck it up, invest in the stock market.
You know, I'm not surprised. You know, I actually had a similar situation happen in my condo association where, you know, there are special assessments happening. And
he's been arrested again.
I had a white gentleman who's sitting on the board literally say, hey, you know, everybody owes more money. And so what I need you guys to do is probably go get a line of credit or a new credit card to pay it. And I literally had to take a step back and I said, wow, the audacity of these individuals. And I said, you know what? But it stems from the top. And the top comes from our president of the United States. And it also stems down to Bill O'Reilly, who is saying $25 million is what he's getting, but is telling people who don't have these means to provide in other ways, which we just don't have the resources to do. Now, if they decided to cut their salary and decrease in in their commentary and start, you know, actually producing some results for those families who don't have, I guess, you know, we could figure out a mechanism to figure out how to get out of these situations. But it's always interesting. Those who make the 7-8-figure salaries are always trying to tell folks who, you know, only honestly just has the means to probably watch what they're saying and to take that type of abuse, just even from a distance, to tell them something different that what they're living is always just hard to hear.
Just beyond pathetic, Mustafa.
It is, but it is the paradigm of the haves and the have-nots, and the individuals that, you know, have the wealth figure that you must be doing something incorrectly if you don't have the wealth. You know, it's disingenuous to tell folks that they should just be investing in the stock market if we're not going to make sure that people have the knowledge and the skills. If we don't have a living wage so that folks actually have a few extra dollars, because most of the time people are trying to utilize those extra dollars that they might have and just survival. You know, if you don't have a certain price point, if you don't actually make enough money, you actually don't get a chance to invest in the stock market the same way that wealthy people do, because they get to come in early. They get to, you know, buy up the things that they think are going to go up. And then later on, other individuals then get an opportunity to invest. So there is a lot of disparities that exist inside of the stock market. So for him to say that, you know, just continues to show, you know, that they are very, you know, just not connected to what everyday people are actually dealing with. But it's not unusual. But unfortunately, as I close, the reason that these individuals can make these statements
And the reasons that the policies that are out there that benefit the rich and not the working class is because we often, elect these individuals who have no connection to us, who've never understood what it is to have to go to the laundromat or to have to make some decisions at the grocery store about what you can and what you can't get. So once again, our vote is incredibly powerful, and we can change this dynamic. And that does not mean that folks can't, continue to make money and do, hopefully positive things with that. But we've got to make sure that we're balancing out this system, which is incredibly unfair. And that statement aligns with that unfairness.
Yep, it gives a lot of Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. All right, folks, quick break. We come back. We're going to talk to the company. That black-owned company makes golf balls. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
Atlanta-based company is the first ever black-owned golf equipment company to have its premium line of golf balls achieve conformance to the rules of golf established by the United States Golf Association. The Renegade Blueprint is a two-piece urethane golf ball that offers a premium performance at a lower price than many of its competitors. The ball is designed for all golfers. Joining us now from Atlanta is Kenneth Duncan, the CEO of Renegade Golf Company, and Team Renegade golfer Taylor Miller, the first black female golfer to be featured on the packaging of an internationally marketed golf ball box. Glad to have both of y'all here. First and foremost, let's talk about this ball, Kenneth. So what makes this one here different? Y'all sent me previously your other golf balls. And actually I played, so the Renegade MBU, and so the Renegade Blueprint is the new one?
Yep, so the Blueprint is kind of a continuation of just what we started a few years ago. Mbu means first of a line, Nigerian word meaning first of its kind. I mean, that's the first ever black-owned golf ball company. That was kind of the start of us building out a line. But as you know, no golf company can exist with just, one premium golf ball.
Right.
So now we're on our fifth golf ball we've released, and this one's probably the most exciting because it has a lot of meaning behind it. So even just being here with you today and having Taylor Miller to join us is exciting because the Blueprint is kind of more of a message than it is a product just that we put into the market.
Now, you previously had, if you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, if folks actually go there and look at that, you'll see on that box was Maurice Allen, the three-time long driving world champion. And so how did you then decide that I should decide on Taylor?
We had some conversations in the last couple of years, and we've kind of had a blind spot. People have talked to us, and our goal is always to make golf more affordable, more accessible, more inclusive, and diverse. I met with a young lady about a year ago, and she said, I see a lot of men in your products and Black men, and I see a lot of juniors, but if you're a golf ball company for women, where are the women? And, we've always, worked with amazing juniors like Taylor, and we've always tried to represent the future of golf, but we've never done a really great job of actually displaying that. And Taylor Miller, we're fortunate to have her play our golf ball, the ball you referenced at Embu for the last few years. And we saw it as an opportunity to really display all of the amazing things we have going on in the company and to pivot the Blueprint messaging to be something that's more inclusive and even more pushing the limit than what we were doing before.
So Taylor, were you surprised when you got the call?
Yeah, I was super excited when my parents had told me that Kenny had talked to them and I was going to actually be on the golf ball box. I thought it was super incredible that Kenny was giving me the opportunity and taking a chance on me.
And Taylor, you're based where?
Right outside of Chicago, Illinois.
And where do you play?
I play at Plainfield East. I'm going to be a junior in the fall.
Junior?
In high school.
Gotcha. All right, just making sure. High school, college.
So Frat, I have a question for you, Frat. Have you ever seen a woman on a golf ball box ever?
I don't recall.
No. And most of the golf commercials, you're an avid golfer, none of them, they're not focused on women, not focused on high-performing players. Even in our Black space, many people can't name one professional Black golfer that's of color, and we have some amazing ones. Amari Avery, who's playing great this year, is going to get her LPGA Tour card. So I think we have an opportunity with this platform, with our golf ball box, with Taylor, to really reset the messaging in golf. There's the fastest growing group of golfers in the entire world is women, and Black women make up a big portion of that, and they're underrepresented because no golf companies are talking to them. But they buy, so why don't we kind of break down those barriers that exist?
Well, and one of the things that you're seeing an increase in the attention being paid, if you will, to golf. There are a number of different groups. There are different. I know several. I follow several different groups on social media. Sisters who are playing the game, having different clubs and things along those lines, introducing the game of golf to lots of folks. And so I take it your goal is also to appeal to a lot of those folks.
Absolutely, and to bridge the gap between men and women. So, Taylor is not just a female golfer. She's a female. She hits the golf ball probably longer than both of us. Her scoring average this year has continued to get lower, scoring averaging in the 70s. There's no such thing as a woman's golf ball anymore, or a woman-based product. She plays the most horsepower golf ball we have. So I think we have the opportunity to bridge the gap and to change the narrative on what woman golf looks like and to connect all of us in this amazing game.
So Taylor, what is your handicap?
Right now I play to a +2.
Play to a +2. Average driving distance?
I carry the ball 250.
Okay. All right then. Cool.
That's without the rollout. People don't ever really count the extra yardage. We have a couple of her clocking at about 285 in the sim, so she can motor it out there.
Well, absolutely. And talk about the performance, if you will, of the golf ball compared to. Look, the golf ball market, Taylor, is hugely competitive. Lots of brands out there.
Yeah, I'd say I knew that the MBU is a good ball for me as soon as I saw it performing well with my irons. I feel like I'm a really strong iron player into greens, so just being able to have the spin that I need into greens was good. And then when I was testing the ball, when I was hitting driver, the spin was honestly around that 2,700 to 3,000, which still getting my perfect 250 carry, and I was still rolling out to the 280 range. So having all the numbers line up perfectly with the MBU ball has honestly been amazing for me.
All right, cool. Questions from the panel. Let's go to Mustafa first.
Well, congratulations to both of you. I love seeing Black excellence. You know, my question is sort of similar. By no means am I, a golf aficionado. Titleist, Callaway, been the balls, the times that I've went out that I've used. What makes these balls different than some of those other names that some folks might know of?
Yeah, I mean, our ball, Taylor just referenced it, our performance of our ball is at par, if not better than all of those. And the golf ball is a lot of a personal choice. But really, I think the question is what makes our company different? We are giving back, thousands of dollars into minority communities via golf scholarships. We represent more than just a golf ball company, but an entire movement in golf to become more diverse. As the first ever Black-owned golf ball company, and you've seen Eastside do similar things in the space. So we're not just another product. We're not another thing you can go play with. We're really more of a message and a movement that is looking to change the face of golf and change the way that we build our young golfers up from the ground up.
Zabora.
I think this is really amazing what you're doing and just bringing in that level of diversity. So my question is, what is your strategic plan to, just get more young Black golfers, especially female golfers, to participate in golf and to just understand what your company is, the balls you have, and how those opportunities are out there for young golfers?
That's a great question. Thank you. No, I think that question really lies in patience and intentionality. And from the patience part, we've been working with Taylor since before she was 14 years old. She's been playing our ball, and now she's performing on the highest junior golf tour in the country. We have another junior golfer who we started when he was 11 playing our ball, and now he's one of the highest ranked junior golfers in his class named Camden Guyton. So there's a level of patience required for us to catch up on the 100-plus head start of some of our white peers, in Titleist and Callaway, that is. And then other parts, intentionality, for us to share these stories, for us to be very direct and upfront with our messaging, to be very authentic about who we want to help grow the game with and what we want to do with our proceeds and our revenue, and just continue to be very transparent about who we are, what we want to be, and where we're going.
All right, then. And so, again, right now, how many different golf balls do you have out?
Right now we're at 3. We consolidate a little bit because we're really focusing on our premium ball, the MBU, and the Blueprint as the one that's more aligned for beginners. And we do have a premium ball, the MBU tray, which we sent you last year, which is really more for our high performing players. But we really just rely on those 3 balls to kind of carry forward our message. We are going to bring.
You said the MBU. So which? Okay, so walk us through. Is the Blueprint for the starting golfer, or is that? And then the MBU is for what? What would you say for better playing golfers? And then of course, what's your top line?
So I'd probably say the MBU is for that single digit handicap, and Taylor being plus handicap. So that's what the entire MBU line is about. The difference between the MBU and the MBU tray is really just a comfort and feel thing. Both of those are for high-performing, high-level players, single-digit handicaps. But some people prefer a ball with more spin, some prefer less spin. So those 2 balls are very similar, but they are different than the Blueprint, which is more of our entry-level beginning golf ball for your everyday player.
Gotcha. So I'm a 5. My handicap is 5.5. So which ball?
We're trying to get you to play the MBU. We're trying to get you on it in a couple of years now. We're going to get you hooked on the MBU at some point.
Okay. All right then. Well, I did. No. I actually, I played Friday in Miami with Alonzo Mourning, and I played Sunday in Orlando with Grant Hill. He was getting ready for the Tahoe tournament.
Were you playing MBUs though? Were you playing MBUs though?
Yeah, I'm trying to think which. I think I played. I think I played the back 9. With it, and so because I was showing Grant.
I'm gonna ask Grant. I played down in Orlando with Grant and Vince Carter down at Alworth a couple months ago. So
yeah. Well, we played at Alworth. Vince was supposed to join us, but he was busy. He was busy with the kids. And see again, for folks who don't know, see Mustafa said where he is. Then you got some people out there who think they can play, like Logan, who works for us. He don't know what the hell he doing. He ain't got no clue. Terrell ain't got no clue. None of them can play any golf whatsoever.
Grant can hit the ball.
No, Grant's going to be in the Tahoe tournament this week, and so I gave him some putting tips. And see, this is when you can tell people who are not real golfers. So this is literally in my studio. And I've never seen these yahoos who work for me even attempt to practice. So yeah, I'm serious. I got this same put-out mirror at home, and so I'll sit here. I'll come in here and I'll practice some swings, if you will. Of course, getting ready to play. But see, that's how I would say you could tell real golfers if they actually practice their putting and things like that.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, you got some golfers you playing with down there in Orlando, though. Vince plays at Embu. Vince Carter plays at Embu religiously. He talked to him a couple of days ago, and he's been playing the ball for well over a year now, and he can hit the ball a good ways as well. So that's about the skill group level where you're going to find some improvement there. Yeah, well, I saw somewhere Vince's handicap was 4.7, and so I got to see for myself what that's like. So I'm gonna need to double check. I think I might have a sleeve of the Mbus at home. I might have, because like I say, I played them, so I need to double check. I'm gonna talk to Carol about making that happen. Carol, we'll have a chat after this. Me and Carol make it happen.
No sweat, because I'm always definitely out working on my game. Folks, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com to check out the Renegade golf balls. Again, a lot of y'all out there learning the game. You have options, if you will. And so please check it out. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And this is, one of the reasons why we created this, to give people an opportunity to learn about these black-owned companies such as Renegade. And I'm sitting here and I'm trying to find it because I was looking on, and I'm a subscriber to Golf Digest, and where in the hell is it? Didn't you guys, your ball was also on the Golf Digest hot list, correct?
Yeah, so 2024, we were on the Golf Digest hot list for the Embu. We didn't produce a golf ball last year, and we just brought it back this year. But 2024, on the hot list, you'll see the Renegade Embu was awarded one of the top new golf balls in the world and made it to the Golf List Silver. So that's a big deal in our first year having golf balls to be awarded as a top golf ball in the world.
Absolutely. And so, Taylor, when I get back to Chicago, we got to tee it up. I lived in Chicago 6 years, and so know those courses quite well, and always out, because wherever I go, my clubs go with me. We'll be doing that. So we certainly appreciate it, you joining us. Thank you so very much. Also, Taylor, tell people where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at Tay Miller Golf.
Tay Miller Golf?
Yes.
All right, then. Kenneth, we appreciate it as well, and we'll be in Atlanta for a week for the National Association of Black Journalists convention. And I think that week, that Tuesday, October, London is having a golf tournament, and then Chris Tucker, I hit him trying to find out if he's locked his date in for his tournament as well. So look forward to. We were just there last month for the Warwick Dunn golf tournament, and so look forward to it. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Awesome to see you out there.
All right, thanks a bunch. Y'all go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. As we were talking, it was when was this? When did I go out? Let me double check this date. This was, give me a second, y'all. This was June 25th. So whatever that previous Sunday, I played in the golf tournament, Russ Parr. My man Keenan Towns had a golf tournament for Russ Parr. And the Social Golf Association got together, and they do this once a month. They have a gathering. You can go to my video on my iPad. They have a gathering where folks come out. They got food trucks. They got a DJ. Folks who, all levels of golf, folks who want to learn the game. They come out there, and you can turn the audio up. And so I was sitting out there. They said, hey, man, you need to stop by. Not that loud. Bring it down, please. And so they said, hey, man, you need to come on out. And so they were there from 7 to 10. We finished the show at 8, and so I went on out, and caught up with them, and they had different golf brands out there. The folks with a Fairway was out there with their golf products. You had another company that was out there. They are the Lab. Actually, it was a black-owned company. They make golf clubs, and so they were out there as well. And so folks were having a good time. Again, folks are all skill level out there. Then they also took a big old group photo, and then I actually got them to do a drop for the show. So we're going to use that on the show. And so this was, of course, everybody going out to the driving range to take it all. And so that's what we did. And as I said, I wanted them to do a drop. And so here is them doing the shout out for the show. All right, check this out. Go to my other phone, Anthony. 3, 1, 2, 3. Are we good? There we go. So, all right. So, y'all know how I feel about the game of golf. It is fantastic opportunity to really connect with folk in a different way. And listen, man, when you go play, man, you're spending literally, a great amount of time around the golf, 4.5 hours with somebody. You really get to know folks. And so an increasing number of folks are playing the game. And just so folk understand, and I'm going to have him on in a week or so. I may try this week. My man Wendell has, because he has an annual golf tournament, the Original Tee Classic, and it's he's been honoring black golfers. They also have young golfers out there, brothers and sisters. They have sort of a tournament within the tournament, provides them prize money to help them. And one of the things that, and he does that tournament because George Grant, who was a black dentist, went to Harvard. He actually is the creator of the golf tee. And so whenever I hear these people say, oh, man, y'all sitting here playing the white man's game, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Black people have been playing golf for a very long time, and you've got some brothers who were not for the white-only Caucasian rule. They would have been some of the best black golfers in American history. This is long before Tiger Woods. And so look forward to that. All right, folks, that is it for us on today's show. Let me thank Teresa, Mustafa, and of course, Zabor. God, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, hold on, because I'm looking for her. I didn't see her. They've already signed off. Let me thank them for being on today's show. Folks, also let me shout out Florida Memorial. I'm rocking their T-shirt today, the HBCU shirt that I'm wearing today. So shout out to the blue and orange. No window. This is not the New York Knicks blue and orange. This is Florida Memorial. I had my Astros blue and orange earlier, and so he's a huge Knicks fan. He's paying homage to the Knicks at this year's golf tournament. I said, man, don't be giving away no blue and orange crap with the Knicks on it. I want to hear that. Anyway, folks, if y'all want to support the work that we do, join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to give you a cash app, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out for yourself. That's also for credit cards right there, okay? That's for credit cards. So do that. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle. Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. We got some new T-shirts, America at 250 shirts with some great quotes from folks like Harry Belafonte, Paul Robeson, and James Baldwin. And if you want to get those black-owned products, again, from Renegade Golf, also the other black-owned companies we have right there. All these products here are black-owned companies right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Every single one of those products that you see, they are available at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Folks, download the app Fan Base. They've got some fantastic updates that are dropping. We're going to have Isaac Hayes III on soon to explain to us what those are all about. So we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. And time's up. I'm going to go over here and hit a few golf balls and show these wannabe golfers in my control room what a real golfer looks like. Especially poor little Logan, because he keep running his mouth talking about, oh, no, I can hit the golf ball. Y'all, that boy can't hit a golf ball to save his life. And I took the interns last year, and trust me, it was a horrid experience for me having to actually look at that awful swing. It was just rough on the brother's eyes. And again, he just keep claiming he can play, and I know he can't. And I told him that if and see, some of y'all out there, some of y'all trip as well, but y'all need to understand something. Those of us can play, and so we're just gonna close the show on this. And I said to Logan, if you really want to see what a real golf swing looks like, then, and if you keep claiming your golf swing is real, which I don't buy. Trust me, I don't buy at all. So Logan will never have a golf swing like this. Anthony, see, Logan, you will never swing like this here. Never. Look at this. Boom, down the line, 5 wood, 220 yards out. Yeah, look at that form. You can't even, Logan, you have no shot. You have no shot. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. I mean, you got no shot. So, y'all, he thinks he has a golf swing, but he doesn't. But y'all know how these little young folks are today. They always run their mouths, and they think they know what's best. And then sometimes you just got to go ahead and spank them and show them who's the boss. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Holla!